Good evening and welcome to the 21st meeting for the Milton Planning Board of fiscal year 2026. At this time, I would like to now call the meeting to order and begin by introducing the members of the board and our staff. If you'd like to begin.
Hal Munger, member.
Cheryl Tagayas, secretary.
And Meredith Hall serving as chair. This evening, unfortunately, Sean is out of the country and Maggie is not feeling well, so she will not be here this evening. But we do have with us our staff, Avanti.
Yeah, Avante Grady, Assistant Planning Director.
Liz Manning, planning director.
Great, thank you. Now moving on to, we'll begin by our first administrative items. We have two sets of meeting minutes that we had deferred from our previous meeting, but unfortunately you weren't here in March, so which were March 12th and the 26th, and we don't have a quorum here to vote on those. So I'm gonna defer the meeting minutes from March, or have a motion to defer the minutes. If you wish to agree the 12th and the 26th, that we move the voting of those to our next meeting. So
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Can I second it?
Yes,
Okay,
you can.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then the future meeting dates, we have currently scheduled our regular scheduled meeting for June 11th and June 23rd would be the next meeting dates. And we can now go to staff update. Avanti and Liz,
Yeah,
if you'd like to
I can
take
start.
that.
Yeah, I'll just provide a brief update on the open space plan. We had our pop-up event on May 16th, which was successful. We had 35 participants for that. So yeah, that was great. There was that was a collaboration with MAPC in terms of language access. So we had poster boards translated into Haitian Creole, Chinese, and Spanish. So it was great to get that perspective from that part of town. They provide various interesting pieces of feedback, such as like several clients feeling that the Northwest section lacks adequate outdoor recreational facilities. Some felt that there wasn't much programming for teenagers in Milton in general. Some expressed that they had to get into their car to get to the closest open space and rec facility. Some expressed having more materials translated on the town's website, and also having multi-generational activities to do at sites. So several participants shared those thoughts. So yeah, it was just nice to hear back from the community and to have that just be something that we can integrate into this plan moving forward. So
That's excellent.
Will you share that with the board, that document you're reading from, or?
yeah,
Okay.
yep, and yeah, looking to get this posted on the project website too, but
Great.
I will share it with the board. Yep.
That's great.
Yeah, thanks, Avanti. I mean, a lot of hard work went into getting those materials translated on such a an expedited basis, and a lot of follow-up, and so excellent work.
Yes.
And I was really impressed when I saw the amount of feedback that Craig was able to receive in such a short period of time. So it was a very, very worthwhile event. Okay, so I've got 4 items here. Shared supporting housing office. Currently working with the folks at Accenture, following up on the 936 Brush Hill Road project, 703 Randolph Ave and 440 Granite Ave. Those would be sort of like the 3 projects that are closest to occupancy. So perfectly honest, still kind of working through exactly what the types of supportive activities they're going to be providing for us moving forward. I put together a pretty detailed spreadsheet last week for them, kind of like with my expectations of how they were going to support the town in monitoring these projects and following up and what have you. Haven't connected yet with our consultant there, but happy to share that with you folks if you want to sort of see what I'm thinking in terms of support. Not 100% certain what our budget is for that. So my support needs might exceed, what people are thinking in terms of budget, but we'll figure that piece out as we move forward. But there's just so many projects in play, and they're all in different stages of development, and they're all different types of models, and so there's just a lot there. So housing production plan, I know Cheryl's been in the loop on this one because we're gonna have a kickoff meeting next week, June 3rd. That advisory committee is in place. It consists of Winston Daly and Megan Nolan on the select board, and 2 members of the Affordable Housing Trust. I'm gonna get their names wrong, I should have written them down.
Warren Lizio and Eric Wilkinson.
Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl. And obviously Cheryl and Sean. So that meeting will take place next Wednesday, and then we will be discussing scope and budget, scope and schedule, and sort of introductory types of topics next Wednesday.
So Sean will not be back, I don't believe.
Yes, I did. I knew that. I felt like it was.
He thought me when everybody could be there. I don't know if that's possible.
She's on a pretty tight schedule. I was
okay.
really balancing.
I know, we wanna get this
having
done,
it-
so, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so that was a balancing act with that one.
Well, Cheryl can fill in,
Yeah.
fill Sean in.
Yeah,
Or
I
you
think
can,
so.
yeah.
And this initial meeting is sort of laying the groundwork for kind of what the process is gonna look
Right.
like, and so I think we can get him caught up without too much trouble. Third items, I can't speak. Third item is the letter that you have in your folder, which is on the agenda as well, for the library parking forum that was held back in March, and the board's comments on that. And I also printed out a copy when we come to that agenda item. Maggie had submitted something today asking for additional language in that letter, so.
I think we're gonna defer that just for anyone watching
Oh,
who might be looking
okay.
for that item, because we don't have Maggie sick today, and
Okay.
Sean's not here, and Cheryl, is on that task force, so she was gonna recuse herself, so I think it's better just to defer it.
Okay, sounds good. And so my final item was just a sort of an update for everybody that Carolyn Murray from KP Law will be at our next meeting, June 11th, to discuss the recodification process and potential zoning articles for fall town meeting. And I don't have an exact date, but my understanding is the end of June is the target for submitting articles.
End of June.
And
End
That
of
was
June.
July.
I thought it was July 7th.
All right, well, I
Okay.
will circle
We need
back
that
on
week.
that.
I think it
I will,
was the week
I will
of
circle
July 7th
back
is
on
the
that,
date
week
I
of
recall.
July 7th, okay, all right. Maybe I was building in an extra week for
Yeah,
myself.
probably, and
Okay. So just to kind of frame that, because obviously we'll need to be, conducting public hearings and et cetera, so, just having that date in mind, just for everyone's time. Okay, great.
And I know you'll probably talk to Carol in advance, but it might be nice if she has an idea of the articles that we're looking to get in. Obviously, the MBTA, just cleaning up that language would be very straightforward, but maybe looking at, I know Hallie, you've offered to, look at what some of the other towns are doing for short-term rentals, Airbnbs, and maybe she has some that she could come or send us in advance of the
Yeah.
meeting that we could review. I know different towns are going through different experiences with Airbnbs and short-term. Middleton, Rhode Island, somebody just told me, just repealed their Airbnb law, and anyone who has them is grandfathered, but they've been having issues, so they've now repealed. So
wow.
it's Rhode Island, it's not Massachusetts, but it's it's an example of some towns, it didn't get implemented the proper way, and they didn't have regulations. Have had trouble. So
Okay.
Carolyn may have been hearing about those some communities. in the area that she could maybe provide some things to.
Yeah, my goal was to have, I know there was a lot of discussion at the last meeting about different zoning topics. So my goal was to have that sort of rolled up to Carolyn
Yeah,
and sharing with her as well the research that you did on the various towns, which we uploaded already to the folder for our next meeting, so that's there if anybody wants to take a look at it, it's available. But yeah, that was the intent. The intent was sort of like a combination of the recodification process itself. I received that contract today, so that funding is encumbered. So we've zeroed out our planning studies budget for fiscal 26, so that money is encumbered. And so the intent was to have sort of like half was that piece and reviewing that piece with everybody and sort of what's in that contract, how it's going to work, and then the other piece was to talk about what can happen for fall, like what makes sense for fall.
right.
So can you also ask her to look at the pre-existing non-conforming businesses? Some exist under variance and some exist under special permit through the zoning board of appeal. And my understanding is anytime they want to change some aspect of their operation, they have to go back so to that body. So they all go to the ZBA now. They come to the planning board if site plan review is triggered, but otherwise they don't come to us. And a lot of businesses fall into that category. So I know I had asked you for a list which you provided, and Ellen Bishop is working on mapping for those. But just to understand, first of all, how the process works now. So if we're going to try and make it better, we need to see where the problems are, right? But we saw it firsthand with Milton Marketplace and the restaurant because there was a lot of confusion about their permits. And then we also experienced it firsthand with 440 Granite Ave, when they had to go to the ZBA and they had to come to us. And then which do they go to first?
Right.
The ZBA wants to hear from planning board. Planning board wants to know what the variances are going to get granted.
Right.
And so how can we make that process better? So we need to really understand the process well. And since it doesn't come to us, maybe Michael White also should be consulted because the applications first go to him, I believe, and then he decides where they go.
Now, doesn't the new site plan bylaw say if you need to go to the zoning board, you don't have to come to the planning board for site plan?
But
Or no?
the issue is the businesses always have to go to the ZBA.
Okay.
That's a discretionary process.
Okay.
None of those are as of right for the businesses, and it makes it more risky for a business. So I think when we talked about trying to make it a little bit more business user friendly, the town approvals more user friendly. I think first we need to start with sort of almost like an audit of how things work now, where the problems are, how to fix it.
Yes. Yeah, totally agree.
Because they're tricky because they're also most often, in residential.
Well, they
single
are,
family
yeah,
zone-
because residential is everywhere.
Is everywhere. So it's it's tricky on how you do that, and we saw that with 10 Bassett Street too. Neighbors do want to be involved with that process. So how do you find that balance? I agree.
I had a couple questions before we move on to public comment. The next meeting, the 23rd, the normal date would be the 25th. Is that the 23rd where we're going to meet with the select board?
It's the 23rd and the 25th.
Okay.
We're meeting that week.
Okay.
Apologies, I had that.
Oh, that's right. And that needs to be posted.
So yes, so we're going to post that. So that's the meeting where we're going to attend and join the select board on the 23rd. And then I think because of the tight timeline, I don't want to cancel our meeting on the 25th. So I apologize that we're meeting twice that week, but I think it'll be a brief meeting with the select board, our time with the select board, and then we'll have our regular scheduled on the 25th.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you. And then the Shared Supportive Housing Office, for my own knowledge, and maybe the people that are joining it haven't been part of it before, is that where the process where the Milton is sharing resources with other towns in the area to work? Can you explain that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So my understanding is this sort of was birthed out of like the TRIC group with MAPC's TRIC subregion.
Okay.
And I think there are maybe 6 communities still participating in this sort of combined contract with Accenture. Accenture is actually the new firm. The original firm was Answer Advisory, which I think was a smaller firm, more local, smaller firm, but they were acquired by Accenture in the last year. Exactly to help smaller communities expand their bandwidth in terms of monitoring affordable housing, staying abreast of their requirements and the regulations with the comprehensive permits. Something that just went out recently are the annual recertifications for the homeownership units, right? So just those types of tasks, and they're helping us right now, as a specific example, helping us work with the folks at 440 Granite Ave to get their, the documentation together for their state approvals for their affordable units to ensure that they will get counted on the subsidized housing inventory. I know enough to figure some of that stuff out and probably do an okay job at it, but it's time consuming and it's really an area of expertise. So I'm like super grateful to have them available.
Great. So it frees you up to do other things that they have more knowledge of to be able to do. Okay,
exactly.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So
thank you. And then one last thing, we touched on the housing production plan and the committee meeting with that. Any update on the master plan committee?
So I think we were waiting. I know that there was an email I was CC'd on to Liz to see if she's made her appointments. I mean, I don't know if she's done that yet. Did she respond to you?
She hasn't responded to me.
We have to wait for Liz? Why can't we make our
We don't, and
plans?
at some point I think we just should. I just thought we might want to round out with, see who's been selected, who's available. I haven't seen any of the applications yet, so I don't know who's on. But have you received those applications?
I have,
from Lynn?
yeah. Lynn's been copying, Lynn from the select board's office has been copying me on applications as they come in. And so, yeah, I mean, I think the last time I checked, I want to say there might have been 6 or 7 applicants still available after the select board had made their. So yeah, picks.
Yeah, I think we can certainly go ahead.
Is there like a pecking order? Does it have to go select board, moderator, planning board, or can we?
No,
Okay.
It doesn't have to. We had just thought, when Liz and I spoke, that I would give her discretion to select, and she wanted to interview people, so I think that might be why it's taken her so long. But I think hopefully they filled out their applications with the qualifications, so we can not have everyone be an architect or everyone be a real estate person. Not everyone. I should say realtor, everyone, whatever.
Or a realtor.
Yeah, it could be whatever. Lawyers, but there's certain things that you hope that it would be
Understood. Okay.
balanced out. Okay. So I think we can definitely Sean will be back on for the meeting on the 25th, so we can tentatively plan on that and then hopefully but it sounds like there's enough people, so that's good. And anything else, Liz? Or anything else did you have?
Nope, thank you.
So I did have one other thing. We talked about a few different things, short-term, long-term, as setting priorities for the year. I would like to come back to that. We talked about some of the shorter-term things, but I do think we shouldn't let too much time pass without thinking about the spring, because it'll be upon us before we know it too. So can we get that back on the agenda as well?
Yeah, and actually Liz, I think, had a conversation with Nick on having sort of a some sort of matrix so that we can have it just sort of, what these are our, short-term, long-term, sort of have a ranking of what we've discussed and sort of have things that we can check off. Once we've accomplished those, moving down our list of priorities and long-term.
I just thought it would be helpful for the meeting on the 23rd with the select board.
Yes.
It just may be helpful for you folks in general, but and then, you know, areas of convergence. Because I think I think he's got something like that, and we chatted about it. And his recommendation was, you know, it's really nice too, because sometimes you can just sort of check things off and sort of get a sense of like, okay, you know, there were 10 things and now 4 of them are done, and yeah, 3 more things got added, but you know, progress is being made. I think it's helpful to have that tangible. So I will work on that. That's kind of like, it's a lot of these things are sort of interconnected because, like, you know, clearly a lot of these conversations are going to be happening with the housing production, right? And we're going to be having conversations with KPI.
So I think that's actually important too. If we note in that matrix where there's already work being done, like some things I think maybe the economic development plan, we're going to talk about the scope of work because previously it did not include the pre-existing non-conforming, which I think is an issue.
Yeah.
But you know, certainly the open space plan, the housing production plan, etc. I also think if you could put the summary together of where we've already committed our dollars, our financial resources, and what we have left, so that'll factor into what we can realistically accomplish.
Especially if we want to go deep with the recodification, you know, depending on how deep we're going to go with that.
Well, and whether there's any other source of funds to assist with that, because it's, you know, it'll help the building department, for example. It'll help the planning department. So can some funds come from other sources besides planning board funds, which are really for studies and for zoning initiatives, but it's a, you know, it's a pretty big portion of the budget, our budget, so.
For sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that'll be helpful. Because I think a lot of the select board members are new members, the new ones. So I think it will be a great meeting just to, I know Winston said, I get asked all the time, like, what is the thing we're working on? And so this way they can have a reference. Okay, this is a focus right now. This is what, you know, this is what our staff is working on right now. And so I think it would be great. All right. So just our so staff updates, everything, Liz, you're all good? Okay, great. So now we can move to item number 3, which is our public comment. If there's anyone here from the public who wishes to speak or online, you can raise your hand and we'll be happy to have you join us. Yes. Yes, welcome. You can come right up, and we're fully mic'd in this room, so you don't need to hold up. I know, you don't have to hold up a microphone. It's nice.
Excellent. Hi, my name is Jessica McDaniel, and I'm here on tonight on behalf of Connect Milton. I'm one of the 8 members of the steering committee here in town, and some of my fellow committee members are here in the audience as well. We're here because at the April 23rd meeting of this board, incorrect statements were made about us, specifically the nature of our activities and our funding sources. Unfortunately, some of that misinformation has since filtered into the community, so we wanted to introduce ourselves to clear up any confusion for members of the board, for town staff, and for our residents. So before I address the specific points of clarification, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our organization and what we do. We founded Connect Milton in 2023 to help connect community members to each other, to local resources, and to civic opportunities, and in turn build a more inclusive and engaged community. While the members of our committee come from different backgrounds, some of us grew up here. I'm Glover, class of '85, while others moved here as adults. We have shared experiences of not knowing how something works or wanting to become more engaged in the community and not knowing where to start. So some examples of how we are working toward that goal. We host a robust set of FAQs on our website, addressing a wide range of topics that residents frequently ask. Everything from what precinct am I in and where do I vote, to whether Milton allows chickens. signups and sports signups information and information about early education opportunities in the public schools. We crowdsource these questions and answers from connecting with Milton residents at community events. We also host voting and election information on our website. For the last 2 town elections, we created a comprehensive listing of all town-wide candidates' web pages, as well as an overview of how town government works and what these positions do. We send out a regular newsletter highlighting local community events, upcoming elections, and our own events such as Community Cornhole, an event we started this past February to get neighbors out of their houses and engage with others, even in the dead of winter. We've organized 3 informational events around civic engagement, including Town Government 101, Town Finances 101, and Town Committees 101. These sessions are open to everyone and have involved town staff as well as elected officials. They've been recorded by Milton Access TV and videos are available on our website. And finally, for the past few years, we've been delivering welcome bags to new residents of Milton. These welcome bags, which I forgot to bring out, but there, got some, contain information about the town and small promotional items or coupons and gift cards from local business sponsors. We invite current Milton residents to help us deliver the bags to new residents and invite new residents to a New to Milton social to help foster some initial connections in their new home. To date, we've welcomed 616 new households to Milton, and we hope that will be just a start in ensuring residents feel better connected and invited to engage in their community. Regarding our funding sources, we are all volunteers, but our activities incur costs. Because establishing oneself as an independent nonprofit is not only complicated, but costly, we chose to find a fiscal sponsor. A fiscal sponsor is an established 501c3 nonprofit organization that extends its legal and tax-exempt status to smaller, unincorporated projects and provides administrative and financial management support. It's a common mechanism for small grassroots efforts like ours to manage donations. Social Good, a nonprofit based in California, is our fiscal sponsor. All of this is explained on our website in detail. To be very clear, Social Good does not fund us. In fact, they charge us a percentage of our revenue for the administrative and financial support that they provide. We are funded entirely by donations and the sponsorship fees that local businesses pay to include their items in our welcome bags. And regarding the statement that Connect Milton has a political focus, all of our activities, information, and events, including those focused on civic engagement, are freely open to anyone who lives in Milton. We do not endorse political candidates, nor do we screen or poll residents for their political affiliation or political beliefs. As an organization that promotes civic engagement, it shouldn't be surprising that many of us are also members of either elected or appointed bodies in town, because we already recognize the importance of civic engagement and can speak to that experience. As an organization, however, we are non-partisan, and we are confident that our activities, events, and the information we share with the community support that claim. Thank you for your time and for the opportunities. We hope this clears up any misconceptions about our organization, and we hope that we can find opportunities to work together in the future.
Thank you. Appreciate your comment.
We have some questions. I just want to read these here. There's a copy for the staff and all their members, and if you could see that Sean and Megan gets a copy.
Absolutely.
There's 3 items that go into our welcome bags.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
I just signed up for your newsletter.
Oh, good. So good.
During our talk?
I'm really quick. I did the cost benefit. Right out of my head.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else here for citizen speak or online? Oh.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Deborah Felton, precinct 2 town meeting member. I'm here because I listened to the last meeting.
where you spoke about Airbnbs, and I was encouraged that I'm hopeful that you will put together a regulation for Airbnbs that we will not, Milton, that the town won't take the stand of just ignoring them, that they'll go away, because they're not gonna go away. I think, and you know, it's just an estimate, kind of putting in different addresses and looking around, not only Airbnb, but also the VRBO, vacation rental by owners. We probably have about at least 30 Airbnbs that the town really doesn't know about. There are a lot of towns now that are regulating Airbnbs: Belmont, Lexington, Somerville, Salem, Gloucester, Great Barrington, of course the Cape and the Islands, Boston, Cambridge, Brookline, Bloomfield. And they all address it differently. But there are choices that the planning board could make. I think this is important for the town to adopt our own rules: licensing, zoning, occupancy permits, occupancy caps, and safety. And a lot of towns use the building department, the fire department, and the health department for inspections. And of course, we can charge a local tax. So there is, I'm sure it'll be a small amount of revenue, but more importantly, it's really to protect the neighborhoods. And so what's happening is that this housing is going to short-term rentals when it could be housing for people who want to live in Milton. And there are definitely safety concerns. In my neighborhood, there's a fire pit in one of the Airbnbs. I thought my house was burning down. I'm not sure what they were burning that night, but it really
it was off-putting, to say the least. So
I would really encourage the planning board to look at this. Also, I was in contact and have permission to use John Cohane's name. He's a precinct town meeting member, precinct 7. He lives on Antwerp. And I know in their neighborhood, they're very concerned about an Airbnb that seems to be a party house, and there's no regulation. So that's the little research that I've done. Planning board, if the planners want, I could send you what I have.
Definitely.
And just on Rhode Island, Middleton, the reason they have rescinded their law is because there are so many Airbnbs that they don't want anymore. So if one pops up that hasn't been grandfathered in, then it will be shut down.
Wow.
So they feel
We've heard about that too.
Huh?
I said that you've heard about that.
Yes, I did. So, you know, many cities and towns are regulating them, and I'm sure there'll be more now that it's so popular. So thank you very much. And just since I did watch your entire May 14th meeting, I really encourage you to try to work with the developer on near the food mart. I know you had mentioned that at the last meeting, that there was a developer who was looking and then went away and you haven't heard from them, but we've been putting up with that. That neighborhood is,
I know.
that's been in disrepair like that for way too long.
Yeah.
And
We need to do
so,
something there, yeah.
I hope we can be a little proactive in that. And as to the condo conversion, I think we really do need to lower the acreage requirement, so that, because who knows what's going to come up for sale. And it's certainly on Route 138, that big mansion could have been condos if there wasn't that acreage restriction. And there are certainly other lovely homes in town that may sell at some point, and I'd rather see a condo conversion than, you know, any other housing. So thank you for your work. Thanks.
Okay, anyone else? Anyone online? Are we seeing? I'm not seeing any.
Let me just double check. I didn't see any the last time I looked. No hands. Two attendees with no hands.
Okay, so thank you all for coming tonight, and speaking. We can now move to our site plan review for an ADU located at 1210A Randolph Avenue. Welcome.
Good evening, Madam Chair,
Good
members of the board. My name is Jim Chen. I'm the architect at JCBT Architect. We're located in Quincy. So tonight we're seeking approval for site plan review for this project at 1210 Randolph Ave. 1210 Randolph Ave is a conforming lot, which is in residential B zoning district. 20,000 square feet is in conformance, and the current structure there is a single family, meets all the zoning setbacks. And the owner here tonight, Nan Chen, we want to propose a detached ADU, a single-story detached ADU at the back of the lot. So the primary structure in the front, single family, will remain untouched. And the original structure is about 2,900 square feet itself. The reason for this proposal is to have their grandparents live separately, independentally, have some kind of
Yeah, so originally I started the project last year. Both my grandparents were doing well. My grandfather actually passed away a couple of weeks ago. But now it's even more important because my grandmother's alone.
Yeah.
So we're taking turns. And originally it was supposed to be like a happy thing. Bring them here. And as they get older, we can take shifts. So it's made a lot of sense. And then at my parents' age too. And it just made a lot of sense. And people can sleep, right? So that we can take turns. It doesn't give me day. So, that's basically the entire motivation. My HELOC's approved, so we're ready to go whenever.
Great. That's good. That's great.
So, since we're talking about the site plan review tonight,
Let me know if you want a different,
I think we'll focus on
just
that
let me
one.
know, okay, yeah.
So some of the improvement that we're gonna make on the site is that in the front, there's currently a 3-car parking. It's only 1 foot setback from the abutting neighbor. So we're gonna push it back in compliance, a minimum of 3 feet. And then we're gonna propose a 5 feet walkway to the back of the house where that sort of a general patio currently sits, and connect that from that patio, connect it to the new ADU. The ADU is 896 square feet. I think there might be a typo on the memo that says 876.
I was coming up with a different measurement, but it's either way, it's within the requirements.
It's still within the
Yeah.
requirement.
Yeah.
And we meet all the setback requirements for the new ADU. There's currently it's 10 feet drainage easement. I think it's serving the back of the property in the back, but we're not touching any of that. We're setting back 18.4 feet away from that property line, and then another 31 feet from the back. So we're well within the zoning setbacks. And then with the proposed walkway, we can plant some privacy planting, probably some arborvitaes along the path. Added some lightings to improve the site. And in terms of utilities, we're not connecting directly onto Randolph Ave, so we're not doing any kind of street opening. We're connecting back into the existing structure. The engineering department did review that the incoming water and the sewer need to be 10 feet above by the code compliance. So we will do that. And all the utilities such as water, sewer, and electrical are coming underground into the new ADU. So a little bit about the ADU. ADU is in line with the existing structure. Original structure is a raised ranch, so this is a single story ranch. I think the architectural language is very in line with it.
Would you like me to pull up the elevations for
Yes,
the
please.
ADU?
Yeah.
That's the house, right?
This is the original, the primary house.
So is that it right there?
Yep, and that's the 4 elevations of the ADU. And slightly raised up. It's in the doesn't have a basement. It has a crawl space and a additional storage at the attic space.
Nice.
So I'm open up for any questions.
Cheryl or Hal, do you wanna go first?
Can we have Liz run through her memo, because I think that would,
really helpful.
since this is our first one, under our new bylaw, I think the process that we established would be nice, people can see it and
I thought that
know
was
what to
great, I just
expect.
wanted
Yeah.
to thank Liz for doing that.
So thank you, I think it's, for the presentation, and for your package, and then Liz,
Yeah,
if you could run through
Sure,
your review.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so I included this memo, I believe you folks were copied on it as well. For the board, a 3-page memo, and gave a detailed list of all the plans that we're considering here this evening, so all of the dates and the last revised dates and what have you. So we reviewed this under the zoning for accessory dwelling units, and the application was received on April 28th. There's a requirement to have you folks in front of the board no less than 30 days, and today was day 30. So we were doing our best on that one. I wanted to go back and see what day you guys actually applied and permitized, but it was probably early April or
Like towards
Earlier
the end
than
of
that?
March, I believe.
sometime in March. Yeah, so we're gonna strive to be faster. But once we get this process down, I think that that can happen. So a little bit of the delay was, sort of in terms of the plans and the level of, engineering required on these plans, some of the requirements for grading and drainage and et cetera. So I had a conversation with the building commissioner about that. He was confident that he had the information he needed to make the zoning determinations about the ADU. And that the detail that was provided was sufficient. So that's how we're proceeding. And so, and there's just a note here that our site plan approval is limited, and that the building commissioner, issues the ultimate permit. So that's that first section of the memo. And the background is stuff we've already discussed, in terms of the it's in the Residence B zone. Discussion about the drainage easement is important. The town engineer's memo dated May 19th outlines the limitations of the drainage easement in terms of what can happen in the easement. Specifically no tree plantings. This description of the ADU itself, as was already mentioned, the crawl space, the unfinished attic space for storage, the ingress and egress. So I think, I guess if I had to sort of summarize, I probably would just like a little bit more information. I guess I had 3 things, that I kind of wanted a little bit more information on. One was the getting in and out of that parking area looks like it's gonna be really tight to sort of like make that swing, to be able to kind of drive straight out onto Randolph Ave.
I just drive by my grass.
Oh.
'Cause in the morning, you're just more about sleeping in 1 minute later. And if it's easier to come out, I just go on the grass. But most of the time, like I come home first, I rotate my car ahead, so it's like already aimed to exit.
Yeah, so you're backing in.
It's your own house, so you come out with a rule, and you just live with it.
Okay.
And then usually my idea gets vetoed Don't have much say.
So that especially with the addition of the third space, that just might be something to consider, that you might need a little bit more elbow room in that driveway area.
I think they're currently parking 3 spaces there.
Yeah, we can actually park 4. But yeah,
Okay.
4 you have to be organized. So, but 3 you don't have to really. You don't have to do
works.
anything, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good, that was, okay, good stuff. And then in terms of any sort of like excavation, do you have any sense on that, you know, as you're excavating for the foundation, do you have any sense on sort of, you know, kind of the quantity or the process or?
Yeah, so we contact Dixie and there's no utility behind that, we're gonna be excavating.
Okay,
There might be minor ledge
Okay.
where we're digging.
Okay.
We would only find out when we start digging.
when you get going, and that would probably be drilled.
Yes, but if the ledge are big enough, we could just support onto the ledge, drill into it
Okay.
and pour the new foundation on top.
Okay, so
So
that,
we won't need any blasting.
okay, so all right, so that was a question on that. We discussed the lighting, so you know, just wanna make sure that it's not, you know, spilling onto neighbors' properties, that it's downlit, that it meets the dark sky standards. And also to the just best practice for erosion control, like because of that drainage easement. So ideally like to see the catch basin and the manholes for the drainage, you know, with the you know, sort of silt barriers and what have you, just to make sure nothing gets into that drainage area.
Yeah, before we excavate, we're gonna have to surround the entire that area.
Okay.
With,
Erosion control?
yeah.
Perfect. So that's pretty much it for me, that wasn't already covered in the applicant's presentation.
So Liz, did you speak to Michael about those 3, Michael White, building commissioner, about those 3 comments? Because I'm wondering how those get incorporated, is that something, since he grants the permit?
Yeah.
Does he make that a condition of the permit, that those be, I guess, addressed?
Required. My sense is that this will be a decision that you folks will endorse maybe at your next meeting. I'm suggesting that it gets recorded. I don't know that there's really a better way to ensure that this requirement that it's 1 ADU per property can be enforced if these decisions are not recorded. We can definitely, I'm putting that out there for the boards to think about. And you know, if you want me to kind of, you know, get some additional, that'd be a typical requirement on a site plan approval would be to record the decision. This is sort of a what, mini site plan approval.
Yeah.
So it's
I would agree with that. I
little
would
bit of
agree,
different.
yeah.
Is that where you guys sign?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the getting recorded means it's in the registry of deeds.
Okay.
So if somebody wanted to look up down the road, they don't have to look in the building officials,
Gotcha.
you know, database on a property to see if it had an ADU. It would be an official record that's recorded.
Okay.
So are you suggesting then that the items that you noted, you would like to have addressed between now and our next meeting so that those are incorporated into site plan approval?
If the board would like to see a different layout for the parking area, then that might be something that needs to be addressed. In it, you
I
know,
actually
before,
like the fact that he's not expanding impervious surface. I appreciate that, and if he makes it, if he can make it work, which it sounds like he's doing right now easily. That was one of my questions is that I was hoping, because a lot of times, sometimes, you know, people do have extra, apartment or space and they end up paving over their whole front yards, I just, and it's much better for you to have trees and lawn and impervious.
More of a buffer.
And more of a
More of a
buffer too, yeah, so I wouldn't see that, but
Okay.
and it does sound like that you would be doing some protection for the
Correct, and then that's one of the requirements by the building.
by the building department, so that's something that I don't think, I guess, we would necessarily need to be. But if there's other things that come up,
Yeah, I think that would probably be the only item that I've flagged that would result in a change in any type of a change in the plan. And then again, my recommendation that there be a site plan decision reported against the property.
So, yeah, I'll go ahead. This site is obviously perfectly adequate to accommodate an ADU without impacts to adjacent properties, which is one of the reasons the bylaw was basically proposed by the planning board and approved, is that we were concerned about, situations that might not be as suitable for it and how to best not prohibit people from doing them, proposing them and doing them, but finding a way that doesn't have adverse impacts. So you really don't have, it's set back from the property lines, 31 feet from the rear, 35 and a half from one side and almost 18 and a half from the other side. Those are very generous setbacks, generally speaking. And that it's positioned to face the yard, so it's kind of like a shared yard, but then it does have some private open space, I think is a benefit. That it has, the walkway from the parking and the walkway from the existing patio. It for the purpose that you're speaking of, that intergenerational outdoor relationship is there too. So I think, Liz, thank you for your thorough review, and in my review of this, I think I don't have concerns with anything that's proposed.
Yeah, I echo that the review, the memo that you put together was great, and then also the engineering memo was great, and the little table which showed what's allowed and what so that's the plan going forward, that's awesome. I just had two things, one about the easement. I see in the engineering report, there's a comment about not allowing plantings on the easement. I do see though in the permit set that you're providing some arborvitaes to, screen. How do we rectify those two conflicting statements or ideas?
Yeah, I think I'd probably turn that to you folks, because I think you received the engineer's memo and this plan predates that memo, so what do you?
And just to follow up on that, is that a defined requirement, or is that just a preference from the engineering department?
It looked like there's a kind of a warning that if you plant them and they need to come in the future,
Take them out.
they can take them out
Okay.
without being obligated to
Okay.
put them back.
Okay,
So it's kind of a risk assessment.
And for us,
Okay,
it's,
fine.
our neighbor is Vietnamese and they have similar age kids as us.
Hmm.
So they just run around the back. So
that's great.
for us, it's not a big deal if it's not screened. If you guys prefer the uproots, we'll plant them.
I think they're fine, I just wanted to
Yeah, I
point out that
think-
as long as you're comfortable knowing that it could be ripped out. Okay.
So those things are up for negotiation.
Okay.
It works.
I like them.
I do too.
I like them. If you want them, I just wanted to highlight
It's not
that.
gonna break my heart if something,
Yeah.
if someone needs access, to
Sure.
take it out, We'll plant them out.
Okay,
But it'll take like a few years.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
and I think the same thing goes for the pavers, the pathway, right? Just knowing that
Yeah.
it could be removed
Yeah.
if, right? Okay,
When we bought the house like 6 years ago, we already know, because we had to ask,
Gotcha.
oh, what is this? 'Cause
Sure.
when you see the plan, and it tells you this is the easement, and it's cooler there in the summer, so my kid literally lies on top of it.
oh, it's cooler,
It's
oh,
cooler because near the cover area,
Oh, yeah.
but it's like it's a strange.
Oh.
It's got the lattice, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
So you
interesting.
can see the cold air kind of
Oh, interesting.
rises under.
Huh.
Yeah.
So he likes to lie down there. In the beginning, I was a little nervous because you're thinking like my kid's gonna fall in.
Yeah.
But after a while, you're like, you step
Yeah.
on it, you're like, okay. Yeah. So we're aware that the easement exists.
Gotcha. Okay, and then I just had one more question. I don't know if it's within our purview. I don't think it has any bearing on my opinion of this, but have you guys considered, or are you providing separate meters for the services
so-
going there?
We prefer to have separate meters if possible. I think it was GCC.
I'm just asking because,
You can pull a line.
I'm not sure if the DBW would allow a separate meter for a single property.
okay,
That's really up to them.
okay.
I think if they allow it, they'll be happy to have a separate meter.
I'm just thinking, I
think
believe
he said
when you guys were
she-
discussing at some point standalone structures, that was a discussion point, and I don't remember how it ended up. I'm just thinking for their sake,
Because
in the
we'll
future.
have a temporary address, and then once it's finalized, the address associated with that building.
Right,
Yeah.
it has
And
to be.
then I can call the utility company and say, do you do a separate meter or is this gonna be on my own house? I mean, either way, I'm paying the bill, so it's like, I don't
Sure.
think it makes a difference
Sure.
for me.
I think it does make it slightly different if you want a separate meter, it needs to tie onto the street, on Randolph
Okay.
Ave.
Yeah.
Whereas right now you just tie it into your
My own house,
original,
yeah.
original house.
Whatever you guys think makes sense, because you're the experts.
Yeah, we weren't allowed to regulate that
sure,
in our article. So, because we discussed that,
Yeah.
do we want, because we didn't want to encourage people to have to put a whole new water line in or a whole new, whatever, gas line, we wanted them to be able to connect, but we
And the state,
require,
the state said that
the state said
you
no.
can't.
Okay, you can't require it.
you can't
Okay.
require it,
But they could
do
in their
it.
own.
They can do
Okay.
it, but there's,
So
you can't
just something
require
to think about, if this is a situation now, you don't know what the situation will be in the future, just trying to.
Right.
Right.
Smart.
So the only question I had is, in the back here, is there no vegetation? Is it just lawn
It's all
area now?
lawn.
It's all lawn right
All
now,
lawn.
so it's not, you're not having to take down trees.
No tree.
No.
No tree.
It looks like the property on the other side has some trees kind of along your back edge.
Yeah, there's a pretty tall evergreen.
Good, cause that would be something that, it sounds like you have a great relationship with your neighbors, but you might wanna,
Just the ones to the left and right of me, because the one behind me, we're too far away to chat.
yeah.
There's a blocked by the trees.
So I don't know how they feel, like if they would want a tree to sort of block the house is very attractive, but I
Well, they
didn't know
can't-
if they would
they
like
can
to
see
see
it.
some extra plantings around.
I think if
The new
you see
structure?
on Google Map,
Can't see.
there's a
Oh,
lot
there-
of planting actually on the
Yeah.
lower part
They
of
have
the
I
bunch
site.
of
don't think
trees
you can see it from the person behind me.
There are larger trees,
Yeah.
so there is a buffer for
There's
that, that's,
buffer.
cause that was one of the things that we were considering, and again, you have really nice setbacks, so and for your own, your grandmother's privacy, if
Right.
she wanted to have some trees, you might wanna consider planting something back there, but I think your building is very attractive, and I think it fits nicely onto the site, so.
I'm just gonna pick up on something you see in your memo, Liz, is
Yeah.
the radon.
Yes.
And given you said there might be ledge or rock there, when this bylaw was passed at town meeting, there was a request of a town meeting member to include an encouragement of radon testing and incorporation of mitigation if necessary, so I did see that and just want to highlight that for you.
Partly is because, the type of construction this is, it's not on a slab, so it's a crawl space which has ventilation, cross
Ventilation, yeah.
ventilation inside. So even if there's radon, it'll be vented outside, yeah.
Yeah. I put the system in my house. Yeah, but I have little kids, so.
Yeah, cause we do have a lot of ledge in Milton, so yeah, that's great.
Okay, so Liz, you thought that we couldn't take care of this tonight?
Well, you would definitely vote tonight, but then I will put a decision document together
see,
for you and then
got
bring it back for you at your
Okay.
next meeting.
Yeah, because I don't think there's anything else that we would need to request and wait for.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I agree.
so
I would entertain a motion.
To approve the site plan approval. For, I'm sorry, I just wanna get the address for the accessory dwelling unit at 1210 Randolph Avenue
A.
and 1210 Randolph
A.
Avenue.
Yep.
I think that's it, we don't have to make it subject to anything, correct? Liz?
No, yep, you guys discussed my comments and, yep, as long as everyone's comfortable, then I think we're good.
I'll
Can I
second that.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. Woo, this is
First
really good.
one.
Nice.
This is the first one?
exciting,
It's very well done. You did a very nice job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And this is the first one,
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
first.
so
Yeah.
that's great. Thank you very
It's a
much.
very
Nice
new,
work.
very new bylaw for the town.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
guys have dinner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good, yes, have a good
Good luck.
night. Very good.
And
That's great. And so the only other item we had on our agenda, we're actually gonna defer because we don't have we wouldn't have a quorum tonight to be able to vote, because Cheryl is gonna recuse herself on number 5,
So
so
I'm just gonna not
Or not
recuse,
recuse,
but
or
abstain from.
abstain, yeah. So we can put that on for
Before we
future
adjourn,
meeting.
Meredith, can you and Liz, again, Liz said on June 11th, Carolyn, Joe, what's Carolyn's last name?
Murray.
Murray,
Is gonna
town
be
council's gonna be
yeah.
there. But what else will be on that agenda?
So, well, obviously recodification.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're trying to get to for the fall is the timeline for recodification, I should say, the layout, because she might not even think it's reasonable for fall. I
Right.
don't know.
Oh, the ADU rules and regulations,
ADU.
Cheryl.
Okay.
So she reviewed a subsequent set. And so that shouldn't be a big deal. We're already handing them out, so they seem like they're working, so I think, hopefully that won't be. That will
Little
be a-
tweaks to that,
yeah.
but we'll have to take a vote on those too.
Okay. And then she may be able to comment on short-term, I had asked whether it's possible in Massachusetts to prohibit, because Sean had asked about that last time. And I thought we need to be able to answer that question,
Yeah.
because as if we're to bring something to town meeting, I think that's definitely something people are gonna ask about.
Right.
And so I wanted to get an answer from town council about that,
Yeah.
if possible, and then
Because I think legally, we can prohibit anything that's less than 30 days, but we're not, and that's what we ran into, that I think it's, a 30
because
day.
I've heard that we can't, but so I don't know, I don't know the answer.
And I don't either.
And
Cheryl.
I just feel like some people might want to prohibit, some people might want to regulate.
Right.
And I think a lot of people probably don't realize that there's 30 plus or minus,
Yeah,
and that
I
they are causing some problems for some
Right.
neighbors, and there's no mechanism for really regulate or for enforcing
How we would
issues.
prohibit, yeah.
Yeah, so I do think if she could advise us about that, that would be helpful.
Absolutely.
And then did we hear, just again, because of that sort of cleanup on the MBTA
Yeah.
communities,
Yeah.
did we hear back from HLC that they accepted the
I got a
economic study?
We're very busy, I got a form response. We're very busy with the towns that still need to be brought into
Okay.
compliance. And we're working through things, essentially working through things as fast as we can. So that was sort of a non-answer answer. And so I took that as no, they haven't even reviewed it yet, but I'll dig a little harder than that. I still haven't connected with Adam Pletz from MAPC, the folks that did the study.
Cause
You know,
they may have a direct line to get it
yeah, it
a
would
little
be,
more fast tracked.
They absolutely, yeah, they might be able to get, I mean, I emailed him and he called me.
Just
And then I called him back and we missed him. So my sense is this probably something he wants to discuss with me. You know what I mean? So anyway, I'll connect with them.
because my feeling is without that, then an applicant could say, you're only allowed to do 10% because you don't have your approval yet on the 15%.
Yeah.
And we all really wanted to see the 15% town meeting. Everybody wanted to see it. So I think we should have it prepped and ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's an easy.
Yeah, because it's just removing some of that
Yeah.
sort of caveat language that was put in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then okay, so that's what you anticipate for June 11th.
Yeah, so we can get that
Okay,
and get those focused for fall.
and then on the June 23rd with the select board, I just wanted to kind of be able to think ahead a little bit on this agenda. That's going to be the scope of the economic development study and maybe where funding's coming from for that with the select board. That's the focus of our discussion, or was there other items too?
I bumped into Winston today just briefly, and we're gonna try to connect before, because Nick has suggested just having sort of an agenda of what we wanna discuss. And when I spoke to Winston, he was more of, we just wanna hear what the planning board's working on, are there things that we, could work together on, and how can communication be
Because one of the things I was
open to?
thinking about during the last few months, and right now I know the school building committee is looking at La Brea for
Yeah.
a school. But if that doesn't end up going forward as a school, the property's gonna go on the market in the fall. I just have the property zone single family. It's assessed at over 13 million. Is there going to be somebody who buys it just to build 3 single families, which is what you can build on there with the current zoning? So I don't know if they've been thinking about it, but it is something to talk to them about perhaps.
So I think I did watch their meeting last week, and they are looking at it either for a school, and they're sort of going in a parallel path, looking at the school, or would they wanna acquire it for, and looking at other purposes to sort of control what will happen, on that site. I think it's preliminary to look at zoning there, but we should be in communication, and
I just think we ought to be in communication about it because
I think we should maybe make a recommendation. I was gonna ask if this board would like to discuss,
I think we should think about if we could do a quick planning around it. Other communities, when they have a school closure, like a college or something like that, they do a planning effort that leads to something that can be an RFP. So if the town buys it and they don't need it for a school, they can write an RFP and they can do the zoning that coincides with what's in the RFP. If the town wants to keep it, it's a lot of money, you gotta go to town meeting, you're gonna have to get an override. So there's a lot of things to think about, and we may be a part of what needs to happen as in terms of zoning. So I just think it's, when we're talking about collaboration, I'm not suggesting that I have a particular recommendation, but I do think we should be in conversation with the select board.
I agree, and I think we should be definitely proactive on it.
Because
I
too
know.
many lost opportunities happen, as we know.
Yeah, and I think it is a fabulous opportunity. I did watch the school committee meeting when John Phelan, and I don't wanna, it's not on our agenda, but was speaking on the leadership team, was very excited about it. And I look at ways, and this is part of our conversation with the select board, is how do we bring our town together on things that have been divided issues? And I think the Lambs Woods land swap was, for the school, I think there were people who were really torn that really wanted to keep that conservation land, but they also wanted to support a school. What could be better than a win-win is if the school the overflow could be housed sooner rather than waiting, and do it at a far less expense to the town and preserve the open space. And I just think that would just really be unifying for us to come around supporting. That's my personal opinion, but they're doing their due diligence, and they brought an architect in, whether it will work or not, but I think it could be sort of a flagship, just a really incredible site as a sort of an entryway into the Milton Public School system. to have pre-K and kindergarten come together from all over town. I think it could be exciting, but that is not our,
Yeah,
our
I think
worry.
that's
We're-
really a school committee.
It's a school committee issue, but it
yeah.
is, land use and I think we should be, having that conversation, and I know the schools are working hard and it's being discussed, whether we would have control of that.
Because,
And
I don't know what's
anytime
gonna
there's a
happen
land
with the
opportunity.
housing production plan, but when previously we had to identify sites that could have the potential, for housing and, if this, like I said, they're doing their due diligence and it's their
Right.
decision about recommending this for school, so I'm not making any judgment about whether it's good for school or not. But it might be something that gets suggested in the housing production plan, as an opportunity place, because there aren't that many places, as we know. But this is where having a discussion about these things and
Between boards, yeah.
between boards and early is beneficial.
I think on the 11th, maybe we put this as an agenda item to discuss things that we would like to just, that we would like to
Okay.
share. I mean, obviously, it was great that we had our last meeting and we were able to go through our goals, prioritize, so we can talk about the things that we're working on. I think Liz has said she would be able to come on the 23rd, because I think it's also, I don't think residents realize how much our staff is doing in the building department and overseeing what is in the pipeline currently and all the 40B projects that have to be monitored. We have the memory care project, which is going to be happening, coming on soon. I think it's sort of a time right now where we can sort of stay on top of the projects that we already have approved and that are in the works. But it's also a time that the planning board can really do some housekeeping things that we've needed to clean up. I mean, our recodification, how long has that been? If we can tackle those things while simultaneously the staff is able to work on, the oversight in the building department with all of their applications, I think it's good for us to have some goals for looking at future projects, but this may be a great time for us to do housekeeping as well and clean up a lot of and do some of the zoning articles that we've been talking about for a long time, so.
I don't disagree with that, but I
Yeah.
do think we have to be mindful that changes are gonna continue to come, like
Yeah,
a library closing. And you remember
For sure.
when the Carberry property, as it was
Mhm.
known, was going on the market, there was a lot of concern what would happen with that land, it's a lot of acreage. And it was the developer who bought that worked with the town to develop zoning, right?
Right.
But not every developer is going to do that, and so that outcome could be a lot different. So
No,
I
I
just
hear you.
think, we just have to be prepared and I think, residents should hear that we're thinking about things and we're aware of things and ready to act.
absolutely.
But I absolutely agree about the housekeeping and addressing things that have been on the radar for a while that had to get backburnered, especially during the MBTA
Right.
discussion, which took so much of our time.
Because we had COVID hit, then MBTA, then ADU, it's been, and it's all good, we're in a good place now, but it's, with the 40B, with 8 40Bs coming on all at once, it's been a lot for the building department and our staff. And I think, never mind CPC and other things that we're staffed with.
Well, the codification should really help
yeah.
the building department, and I think getting established procedures and processes should help both planning and building. So that I think like having however much time it took you to do this first one on the ADUs, I'm sure the second one will be faster. And as applicants, we get kind of like a one pager or whatever, how we talked about making it pretty clear for someone who's getting ready to do an application. They shouldn't have to come in and necessarily meet with you to figure it out. They should be able to get it from the website and then come in with what they think is fairly complete.
Right.
So there's a lot of interest and work at the state level on ADUs to help homeowners understand the process.
Mm-hmm.
You know, MHP, Mass Housing Partnership, is working with HLC on having consultants who do that. So,
And then the other thing, on the June 11th, is the non-conforming businesses.
yeah.
And I don't know if that's something Carolyn that she could advise us
Yeah,
on how to
I was gonna
address.
ask if you wanted me to sort of, she's gonna be talking about the recodification sort of overall, but do you want me to focus her more on like the short-term rentals? Like kind of in the short term, like as far as
If we could get that to a
can get
fall, if we could get that something,
to
I
have,
think that
well,
would be
just
great.
it sounds like you
Town meeting.
wanna have a conversation. Ideally, do you wanna have a more in-depth conversation on the 11th, because that sort of like, that tees it up even further, if there's a potential for an article for the fall, I don't know, I'm just asking for.
Well, I guess did you get any sense from her about the timeline for the codification? Because the codification, if there was any chance for it in the fall, I wouldn't wanna detract from that.
Would you rather do codification before short term?
Well, I'm just thinking it's been
For a
4
long time,
years
yeah,
that we've
yeah.
been asking for the funding and
Right.
I
and
mean,
I mean, I feel
Could we do
like
both?
I feel like she sort of, the way it's laid out is it's spread out over 3 meetings. Potentially spread out over 3 meetings, right? So I guess it depends on, you know, what's the first batch, right? Of changes,
So we
right?
we
What's the
voted-
first, you know, it's not gonna be sort of a full repeal and replace.
No.
What's the first batch? Is the first batch the use table and the dimensional table and a bunch of housekeeping things? Is that the first batch? And then the second batch is substantive changes like short-term rentals. Is the third, I don't know. Do you see, you know what I mean? Like I just don't know, because I feel like some of that conversation has to happen.
has she started the audit yet?
So I think that we literally got the contract today. I saw the
So-
contract today. So and she's coming on the 11th, so that to me would probably be the.
I kind of doubt the codification will be done by the fall, like I said before. So if we can at least get a timeline, realistic timeline from her, and even if it's options of if you would do it this way, you know, we can get it done in this timeline. If you do it that way, you know, a different timeline.
You weren't at the meeting where she had given us the scope, did you see her,
I did watch the
scope of work?
yeah.
And we approved funding for phase 1 and phase 2. And then I think we were going to assess the
For phase
needs for phase 3, as I
Mhm.
recall. So the question is, can she get phase 1 done, you know, in that
So what I
timeline
would
or structure?
suggest is
Yeah.
maybe on the short-term rental. Al, you've done some work, it sounds like, that we haven't seen yet. I reviewed a few bylaws myself. And it occurred to me like, you know, we can look at things like, does the homeowner have to be on site for rental? Is it for all the time that they're on site? I mean, just what are the criteria? Because it's not writing it. It's like, what do we wanna control? And if you read through several examples,
they're all pretty consistent.
they're all
They're similar.
consistent in some things. So I think if we just could do that kind of work on the 11th,
Cause Carolyn will need that guidance from us
Yes,
as a
exactly.
board, like
Right.
what is it that we're hearing from residents that is that
we don't want
really driving
the parties, we don't want the commercial rentals, we don't want ADUs being rented out, we don't want affordable units being
We want
used for this.
some way for the town to
I mean,
regulate it
rented out,
and
I
to
mean,
be able to
short-term
enforce it,
rented
yeah. I mean, you looked at a few, by no means am I an expert, but I'll play one tonight. It seemed like they were all very consistent, they were all 3 or 4 pages, there's similar language, half of it was definitions. It seems like it could be something that
is
could be
reasonable.
achieved for the
Right, I
fall.
agree.
And we could, I know I've heard you guys say this before, you could always come back and tweak it if it's not working out the way we intended it in terms of
It gets-
individual language within there, but to get that on the fall town meeting would be a
Sure.
great, I think,
Yeah.
response to comments like this and comments we've been hearing from community members.
Yeah, so.
It seems doable to me.
It seems, yeah.
Yeah, so I in terms of whether she could prioritize, I guess, those, if she can address both of those. Like, if we gave her the we need to agree on those things
The
that we just
framework,
talked
the
about,
framework
yeah.
for the.
And we're not gonna have a chance to talk about it until the same meeting she's coming to, right? So I guess the question is then, the 25th, would we be able to say here, here is,
But if
Draft.
she came with a model bylaw,
okay,
right, that
Yes.
says this is the
broad outline.
whomever produces
Yeah,
this, but
broad
right,
outline.
broad outline, this is what a majority of communities in the
Yeah.
area similar to Milton are doing.
Yeah.
Here you go, we could review that over those 2 weeks and then come back on the 25th to be able to have
Mhm.
maybe specific responses and
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
that sounds good.
That
Yeah.
sounds.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan. That sounds great.
And then we're not gonna get non-conforming businesses, I don't think, for the fall. But if she could talk to us about what she's learned by trying to look at the variances and the special permits, just so we can kind of understand what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Then we
Okay.
can start to get a realistic framework. If she says, well, you should zone it for business, then we have to talk about that. I don't know if that's the solution or not,
Right.
but it might be part of it. In some cases, it might be that, in other cases, it might be something else, right? Because one of the things we talked about in East Milton Square was, we did an overlay, but we didn't change the underlying zoning. And the underlying zoning has a lot of things that are business uses for decades that are in residential. So that's something, to talk about. The parking requirements we know are a challenge. So that's something to talk about. But so those will be a little different than the ones that are kind of off on Randolph Ave or something else, right? So what's recommended for a fix for, let's say, East Milton Square is definitely gonna be different than other places, I think.
Right, makes sense.
All right.
Great, that'll be good. So, if that is, unless there's anything else, Liz,
Oh, I forgot one little thing, which is actually good news. The fellow.
Oh, yes, the Kelp Fellow. Someone has been chosen for that, and so, yeah, they'll be.
for the administrator position?
No,
sorry.
this is for, this is in relation to,
Climate, what's it, CELT, CELT? Do you know, climate
probably
leader
clean
training,
energy.
clean energy leader training, maybe, something along those
Something
lines?
along the lines of that, but I
Yes,
know,
yes.
Kai, the municipal energy manager, will be supervising the fellow, but they'll be, kind of working with us remotely 3 hours a week, in the planning department, so, yeah, definitely interested, assuming we get grant funding for the climate action plan, that they can provide additional support on that. But yeah, just provide support to our department in
Yeah,
general, so that'll be great, yeah. Use all the support we can get.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes, I forgot, I meant to put that in the report, I forgot. So
that's
that's good
good
news, that's good news, so something on that front. Energy and environment portfolio.
Yeah,
Great.
exactly.
All right, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
Motion.
moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Alright.